Hi, everybody. This is one of our first lessons, and it is going to be over the transactional model of communication. This is a no red ink assignment, so we don't need that, but you will have this posted into Classroom on the stream. You can see all of these weird, different types of icons, and then there are all these things that need to fill out. Our first thing that we need is we need this first page. So you can either print it out or you can type right into it. When you type into it, you need to click on it as a photo, and then you need to click on edit, and it'll bring it up like this, and then you can just totally type right into it, or you can draw it out yourself. The way you're going to figure it out and answer the questions is by going through this transactional model of communication, which is a slide. So I'm just going to go through it with you. You do not have to go through the slides themselves. So let's take a look. We've got 5 main parts of the model. We've got the sender, the receiver, the message, feedback, and the channel. And we're going to define those here in a second. Next, we've got 5 main things that get in the way: our encoding, our decoding, noise, shared meaning, and context clues. So what does this look like and what is it called? All right, so let's build the model. We have the message. We have a sender, which is the person communicating with another person, the message, which is what the person is saying, the receiver, that's the person that is receiving the information, and feedback is how the receiver responds. So if we have a clear message, we have someone asking someone a question about if they like ice cream. The receiver says, yes, I like Rocky Road. So the feedback would be like, yes, I like Rocky Road. The sender goes, okay. The problem is that we have several issues that get in the way. So we can also look at encoding and decoding. Encoding is the speaker's intention of and connotation of what he is saying, and decoding is how the person perceives that message. So if the person asks if he likes ice cream, and he doesn't know that he's asking about something else, like ice cream is a code word for something else, then we're going to have a problem. So the encoding is telling something using a secret code between them and between you and them. So let's say that ice cream actually means, do you like going to see the movie? So you're saying, do you like ice cream? And you're asking them if they want to go see a movie, but they don't know that you're talking in code. So they decode the message incorrectly. So that would be an example of an interference or a problem. One of the things we need to know about encoding and decoding is when we encode a message, we have what we assume is a shared meaning. A shared meaning is that we understand what the other person means and what words they're using. It means you're on the same page. So sometimes you might have language that you use with somebody that is okay and with somebody else is not. An excellent example of this would be slang. Sometimes you might hear me say I don't understand what that means. Like when a student used the word bet last year. I didn't understand what it meant because we did not have a shared meaning of what the word bet means. However, sometimes when people use slang, I can decode it by using contextual clues. For instance, if someone said, we're going to go to the movies, it's on me, it's my treat, and someone said, oh, that's bet, I could probably figure out that's bet is a good thing. And that's me using contextual clues. Oop, let me go back there. Oops, sorry. Back. Okay. The problem with encoding and decoding is that what a person intends and what a person thinks can be completely different. Also, there's lots of other things that interrupt the receiver's understanding of the message, and this is called interference. So interference is anything that interferes with the message being sent and received correctly. So there are a lot of different things. There's psychological, there's physical, there's shared meaning, things like that. So we could have speaking a different language. Obviously, there's interference there if we don't speak the same language. If we're at a baseball game or football game and the fans are too loud and you can't hear, that would be interference. You read the directions wrong and you fail a test, you obviously read the directions wrong or the directions were written poorly. your cell phone is too quiet and you can't hear, your crush smiled at you and that's all you can think about, you can't think about anything else, so you are listening to your friend but you don't know what they're saying. You and your best friend got into a fight and you're mad, so you can't focus on anything else because you're stewing about it. You're so tired that you're nodding off and falling asleep, so you don't pay attention in math class. Sound familiar? Those are all examples of interference. So there's one last piece, and that's called the channel. The channel is how we send or receive the message, what device we might use. So text messaging, we use a phone. Sports, we use numbers or formations or hand signals. So if you're watching a sport and someone's like, 2, 2, 2, 2 would normally be some sort of formation that the team understands and the team knows. Talking to someone, you may use a phone or your voice, and words also have different meanings in different places, languages, and ages. So that's the final piece. If we look at it all together, we're going to first look at the sender comes first, the receiver comes next. We have a message, feedback, and we've got the channel, encode, decode. They have to encode the message to make sure they understand it, and they decode it, and the last thing is our interference, which is, of course, loud and interfering. So if we have this example, Giselle loves Matteo. They write letters to each other. They have to send it through airmail since they live in different countries. Giselle says, Je t'aime, but he doesn't understand, so he uses a dictionary and writes, Je t'aime aussi. So let's plug these into our model. This is Giselle. Didn't know she was a cat, did you? Okay, and this is Matteo. Okay, so Giselle is French, Matteo is Italian. All right, so she encodes a message by writing him a letter. The message is Je t'aime, which means I love you. He doesn't know what she's talking about, so his decoding of this message is messed up. He doesn't know what to say. He wants to know what to say, so he's like, I need to decode that message. A dictionary would probably be helpful. So then he decodes the message of Je t'aime as meaning I love you. So he encodes a message back to her by writing her a letter. He writes her a letter using the dictionary so he can say Je t'aime aussi, which means I love you too. The airmail, because they live in different countries, delivers the mail and she receives it. She is able to understand what he means because she speaks French. So our problem here, our interference or noise, is we don't understand French. So decoding it uses the dictionary. Okay, so Giselle, sender, Matteo, receiver, Je t'aime message, Je t'aime aussi is the feedback. The channel is airmail. The encoding is letter in French. The decoding is interpret with dictionary. The encoding is writes a response using dictionary and doesn't need to decode it because she understands French. So the interference is doesn't read French. What we need to know is there are several variables that affect noise. So we've got verbal, things like a person talking, how we say it. Nonverbal are things that we do with our hands, what we see when someone speaks. Proxemics, how close someone stands to each other. And external noise, which is use of other things that distract us. We have things like perception. So the guy looks weird, I don't trust him, so you're thinking that, you can't necessarily pay attention. Connotation is how we take words. So sometimes what we think a word means versus what someone intends. We've got cultural differences. So in different cultures, they might mean one thing and I think they mean something else. We've also got physical noise, so noise that gets in the way of us actually hearing. We got physiological, which is kind of like our stomach is rumbling and all we can think about is food. And we've also got psychological, where we're thinking about other things that we can't focus on anything else. So keep in mind, speaking is more than talking, and we'll go over the next type of noise in the next few days and how it causes problems. So that's the transactional model of communication. Now it's your turn to show if you understand what you're doing.